Welcome to the Career Changemaker podcast, where we focus on owning your career journey and making impact through the work that you do. Whether you're looking to pivot, transition into leadership, or reimagine your career completely, this podcast is for you. We'll unpack career development strategies, leadership insights, and the mindset shifts needed to thrive in your career. Being a career changemaker means taking control and shaping your professional path with intention. I'm your host, lawyer turned career and leadership development specialist, Janine Esbrand. So if you're ready for candid conversations that are going to help you grow, keep listening. Hello, and welcome to this episode where I'm going to be talking to you about redefining career success in different seasons of life. I've been having quite a few conversations with different clients, different colleagues recently, and there's been a common theme and a common thread coming up in these conversations where people are facing different seasons of life, and it has them questioning what it is they want to do or should be doing or can be doing in their careers next. And I was thinking about the fact that since I've turned 40, I've been rethinking a lot of things and really asking myself what success looks like in this decade, what success looks like in this season of marriage, in this season of parenting, in this season of lifing. And that success doesn't necessarily look the same as what it looked like when I was in my 20s or when I was in my 50s. So I want to talk about it. I want to talk about the importance of taking the time to redefine success if your previous version of success is no longer serving you and doesn't make sense for the season of life that you're in. Our mindsets naturally shift as we get older. And one of the things that absolutely blows my mind is that we make big life decisions, big career decisions before our brains are fully formed. When I found out that our brains are not fully developed until we are in our mid-20s, I was like, What? The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that sits behind your forehead, that is responsible for planning, decision-making, and prioritizing, doesn't fully develop until you are in your mid-20s. However, many of us are making career decisions when we are in our teens, right? I decided when I was 8 years old that I wanted to be a lawyer based on a recommendation of my mother. As a result of me answering back, she is like, you should be a lawyer because you have an answer for everything. And she sowed the seed at that point, and I decided that I wanted to be a lawyer. From the age of 15 up until 25, I was in hot pursuit of this goal. I wanted to be a lawyer, so I did everything that I needed to do in order to make that a reality. It wasn't until I was 25 that my brain had actually finished developing. So let's think about that. So many of us are on career paths that we chose before our brains were fully developed or we fully, truly knew ourselves. So if you are finding yourself now in your 30s, in your 40s, in your 50s, questioning the path that you're on, it makes sense. It makes sense because the younger version of yourself didn't really know what you were doing when you made the decision that this is the path that I want to go down. And so it's okay. Take this as permission to rethink things if things are not working. And don't get me wrong, there's some people that will make a decision about their career path at a young age and it works out. It absolutely works out and they love what they're doing and it is a perfect fit. There are many people who are not in that position and they have been on a path. They have followed a path that seemed right at the time, that made sense at the time, but now it's no longer working. And it might not be working for various reasons, but it's no longer working. So if that's you, take this as your permission to rethink things. It's okay. It's okay to change your mind. Let's just think about the different ways that we approach things in the different seasons of life, right? So when you are in your 20s, everything is fresh and everything's exciting. You may be driven by ambition. You're saying yes to opportunities. You're looking at proving yourself. You're looking at getting yourself out there, right? It's just figuring things out, exploring, seeing what's there. In your 30s, that's when you're kind of moving into that growing and developing and finding your feet as an adult and balancing your career ambitions with the realities of life. Maybe this is when you decide that you're going to get into relationships or get married or move out and get your own place. Various things can be happening in your 30s in terms of life and looking at how the career that you started can be grown and developed as you continue to move forward. And then you get to your 40s, and this is where I'm at. This is when you start to really assess what is working and what isn't, and you start to crave optimization. Is the way that we're doing things working? Does this make the most sense? Does it make the most impact? Is there alignment? Is there alignment between who I am and what it is that I am doing? Is there sustainability? Because let's be honest, by the time you get to your 40s, you are really in a space where you hopefully know yourself, understand yourself. You start to honor your boundaries more. You start to recognize that there's things that you just don't want to do. And so you're just not going to do them. You start to be more picky or choosy about the spaces that you put yourself in. In your 40s, this may be the time for you that you are starting to assess, like, how do I want things to go? And it's less about doing more things and being in more places, and it's more about doing what matters most to you. Those are kind of general phases that we can go through in our 20s, in our 30s, in our 40s. And in and amongst that, life is happening. There's family, there's health, there's shifting priorities for various reasons. And as there are lots of moving pieces and different requirements of you, it can be a great time for you to really redefine what success looks like. Because sometimes you can say, success for me is climbing to the top of the corporate ladder. And once I'm there, it's going to be amazing. And you may have made that decision at a time when maybe you didn't have a family, and now you have a family. And as soon as you have a family, it automatically causes you to reprioritize and shifts the way that you look at what is important and what isn't. That was my personal experience. I remember being pregnant with my son and working as a corporate lawyer. And up to my pregnancy and into my pregnancy, I had the view that I was going to become a law firm partner, work really hard, work my way up. I would start a family as well, and I would get a nanny that would support me, and I would continue to pursue my professional goals. That was the thought. And then what had happened was I had my baby, and it was instant. It was instant. I went from being very, very career focused to now there's this whole entire human that is relying on me, and things look different now. Things look very different now. I was then able to ask myself, what is it that I want to do? What are my priorities? Yes, before the goal was to continue being a lawyer and work my way up to partnership. But now that I have become a mother, is that still my goal? And if it isn't my goal, what could I replace it with? I realized that I enjoyed my career as a lawyer, but the things that used to motivate me, like working on those big deals and putting in the long hours and striving for the next big opportunity, were now misaligned with another role that I had in my life, which was a mother, and wanting to be around and wanting to be present and wanting to have the time to spend with my baby. So the previous ambitions that I had and the previous goals that I had set pre-motherhood were now conflicting with the goals that I now had in motherhood. So then I had to make a decision. And for me, that looked like me stepping away from working in a law firm environment and then moving into in-house role. But that wasn't an easy decision. There was this internal tug of war where it's like part of me wanted to keep pushing forward because of the investment I'd already made, the time I'd already invested, the resources that I've already invested, the hopes and the dreams that had already been invested in this path. But then the other part of me was saying, yeah, you've done all that, but now you're in a new season. So what if success looks different now? And I realized that success in that season for me was being able to step away from being a corporate lawyer and move into an in-house role that gave me the flexibility to continue lawyering and also look after my baby and work part-time so that I could be with him more days of the week than I wasn't with him. So the turning point for me was having the opportunity to slow down and really ask myself what I truly wanted and what I truly valued in that season. I left being a corporate lawyer. I moved into working part-time, and that also created space for me to be able to explore coaching and started my coaching business on the side. So the step away from what was previously true and what I previously wanted and moving towards something that was more in alignment opened up a door for me to then build upon and do more of what I enjoyed and ultimately get to a place where I'm a coach. I absolutely love coaching people. I am able to create impact in a way that I never would have imagined when I was sitting at my desk at midnight most nights working on corporate deals and drafting paperwork. Now I get to use my voice and speak on my podcast and on stages and in my coaching sessions. And that is very much aligned to who I am and what I'm passionate about. So giving myself the permission to not have it all figured out at the beginning, but just know that my values were no longer aligned to the path that I was on. And so I needed to make a shift is what really was the catalyst to me being able to build out a career that I absolutely love. My encouragement to you is to be thinking about what has shifted, what has changed. And I've just shared the example of me moving into motherhood, but there's so many other areas of life that can cause a shift or cause a change in perspective. I recently had to help my dad with looking at pension documents and understanding what they were saying because side note, they're so confusing. And I realized I sat there and I was like, wait, my dad is looking at pension documents. Like we're moving into that season where in addition to supporting my children, I now have to support my parents in different ways. I'm realizing that I really am in the midlife, right? You're in that sandwich where you are caring for older people and also caring for younger people. But what really struck me when I was helping my dad with his documents is that we are entering a new season and it's a different dynamic. And we do need to be thinking about our capacity. The older we get and the more we are moving and adding to our lives, it's important to keep an eye on energy and capacity. If you have grand goals and you want to pursue big things, that's absolutely fine. I am by no means saying that you need to step away from the things that you want to achieve. But what is important is to think about what is my capacity, what is my energy, what are my focus levels. And if I am going hard and I do want to do big things in a season where there are lots of, where's the support? What support do I need? What do I need in order to allow me to show up in the spaces that I want to show up in? So it's just recognizing that we can't operate in the same way or at the same pace in every season. And honoring the ebbs and the flows in life help us not to burn out. They help us to be able to achieve in a way that is sustainable. So if you are in a season where you are recalibrating, rethinking, give yourself the time and space to do that. And the more you create space for reflection, you'll realize that it isn't just about the external markers, the titles, the promotion, the recognition. Sometimes it's about inner alignment. It's about recognizing what truly drives you, what contributions you want to make, and allowing yourself to make the shifts that are required in order for you to honor some of those inner desires. I think when we're younger, it is very much about looking for the external markers of success. And then the older you get and the more you live and the more you experience, you realize that sometimes achieving those external markers of success don't bring the level of joy or the level of excitement that you assumes they would. That's when we start saying, I got the title, I got the house, I got the family, I've got all the things, right, that I set out to get, but I'm still not quite sure that this is the path that I want to be on. That's where it's important for you to go inward and really assess, like, what is actually important to me. And what I have found working with hundreds of professionals over the years is that value misalignment is one of the biggest sources of tension when it comes to careers, especially when people are feeling unfulfilled. If what you value and what's important to you is not in alignment with what you are required to do on a day-to-day basis, there is this cognitive dissonance. There is this internal uneasiness that sometimes gets worse and worse over time. So it's important for you to be able to take a step back and really assess, what is it that's important to me? What is it that I am feeling like I'm called to do? What is it that's aligned to my strengths? Aligned to my interests? What's aligned to my motivation? And that is one of the things that we work on in the first phase of my coaching program with people, is really helping them to get grounded in who they are and what is important to them in this season. Because sometimes we are operating on outdated data. It's like, yes, I decided 10 years ago or 15 years ago, or I decided 5 years ago that this is what I wanted. And that may well have been the case back then. But the question I ponder on is it still the case? And if it isn't, what is it now? And in order for us to do that work, sometimes we need to let go of ego. We need to let go of the external validation that we get from being on a path. And we need to be able to release the old version or the version that your younger self created so that you can make room for what is to be now, what it is that you want now. So embrace the seasons and allow the different seasons of life to be assessed. And then look at how your career and how your work and the way that you're showing up in your work is aligning with the season of life that you're in and the values that you have. If you're listening to this and this is resonating with you and you're thinking, yes, I think I am in a season of transition or a season where I want to rethink things, here are some questions that you can sit with. So number one is, what does success look like in this current season of life? What does success look like in this current season of life? Next, you can ask yourself, what needs or values are driving me most right now? What needs or values are driving me most right now? And then you can ask yourself, what might I need to release or renegotiate to honor this new definition? What might I need to release or renegotiate to honor this new definition of success? So I encourage you to whip out a notebook or your journal and just write these questions down and allow the pen to just flow. Just write down whatever comes to mind for you. Or if it's easier, just take out the voice note app on your phone and then record the answers. These types of questions can often reveal where you can make a start in terms of getting in alignment and finding that peace around what you should be doing and how you should be showing up. Every season of life invites us to embrace change. And redefining success doesn't mean that you've necessarily lost your ambition. It just means that you are growing into a more authentic version of yourself. You're allowing yourself to fully embrace who you are and where you are right now. And it's okay. It's okay to reprioritize. It's okay to redesign the life that you have and the career that you have so that it can fit who you are now and where you want to go next. If you are in a season of transition and you are looking for support with figuring out what that next version of your career looks like and understanding how you can leverage your existing experience so that you can make a move and a transition in a way that doesn't require you to sacrifice the lifestyle that you've already built, then I encourage you to apply for one-to-one coaching. I work with my clients to help them to make the transition into the next phase of their career with clarity, intention, and confidence. And I would love to explore working together. So click the link, add yourself to the waitlist, and I will reach out to you when coaching spots next come available. That's all I have for you today. I want you to take the time, take the permission that you need to reevaluate and realign so that you can move into a space where you love the work that you're doing in the season that you're in. Until next time, look after yourself and keep moving towards your career goals.